Добрий день, я вітаю.
Welcome everybody joining us today. Your anchor is Olga Tamanova. We are working at the Ukrinform Ukraine Media Center. Today is the day number 242 since the full-scale aggression began against Ukraine. We are talking about the Air Force today. We have been joined by the spokesperson for the Air Defense Command of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Welcome, Sarah. How did the past 24 hours pass for the Ukrainian Air Force? As for the Air Force, it was quite calm, which is a rare occasion now. We have witnessed the intensity of the bombings by the rockets and the explosive drones. These 24 hours have been most calm. In the eastern part of the country, the shootings are still taking place in the Zaporizhia and Mykolaiv region. It's very hot down there. But over the 24 hours that have passed, we haven't seen practically no air raid sirens. But perhaps if they were of a preventive nature, or when we saw some aviation approaching Ukrainian territory, and we warned people against a possible attacks. It's not about attacks per se. This is the preventive mode that we have entered into. The Iris German-made system of air defense. Ukraine is likely to be the first one that will have such capabilities. Have we already employed them? Have we been taught and trained to take advantage of this? The IRIS system is quite an efficient Germany-made anti-rocket defense system. What Ukraine has already received is the modernized version, and such defense systems have not been deployed elsewhere, only in Ukraine. The only bad thing about this, we don't have enough of them. We hope that the German industry will get the momentum to produce more of them for Ukraine to receive as many as we need to be used by the Ukrainian Air Force. One of the systems is working in Ukraine. We have talked a lot about this. The only thing that I cannot share with you is a specific location or the way it is deployed. Now you will understand that the target number one for the enemy are HIMARSes or this IRIS system. But the latest attacks that we have seen, IRIS has shown tremendously good results. Of course, this has been the baptism by fire of this system, and it has passed this test for an A. It's very efficient, and we will share the information with the German specialists for them to know the assets and the liabilities of the system. And we hope that in the coming months we will have a number of launch systems. They will beef up, not dramatically, but in a way they will buttress our capabilities. They have 8 rockets. One system has 8 rockets, which is a powerful means to destroy air targets, including the unmanned aerial vehicles or rockets. How much time does it take for our soldiers to be trained to use effectively such systems? The training is conditioned on the preparedness of a specific military personnel, people ready to take the helm of the whole system. It does depend on the level of the awareness, the professional awareness, but in the combat situation that are taking place, in the Ukrainian territory now. The training will be truncated, as it happens during the war. Even if you remember the Second World War, we saw the training of the pilots, which was truncated. So we have training programs to train our people to operate the system produced in the West, including the anti-aircraft. There is a term that has been established by our Western allies, and they're very rigid about that. But this program must be fulfilled in its entirety. We have had a number of people ready to operate, and they are now fighting using those systems. They will pass their expertise over to other personnel. This is the way we have trained our personnel, including the NASIS system that is likely to come to Ukraine very soon. As regards the efficiency of the Air Force of Ukraine and the anti-defense system, General Gromov mentioned yesterday that it's 64% of efficiency. As for the kamikaze drones, as a lay person, I have the impression that the number of drones, the explosive drones, have increased dramatically. Does that testify to the fact that our personnel have learned how to better shut down the explosive drones? General Grom made a very good point. 64% was a very good result and still is. But shall we say that if we take conditionally last 2 weeks and see how we have been successful in shooting down the kamikaze drone, the Shahed Iranian-produced drones, it has increased to 85%. It took some time. And you see the difference between the first time when we saw them and on this 13th of September. Our personnel are now better aware, including the Air Force. We now know better how to set up the interconnectedness, how to organize the cover on special sections, what capabilities should be used to detect them and destroy them. So, as of now, we have reached 85% of efficiency, which has increased dramatically. They began to attack the city of Odessa and Mykolaiv region in the southern part of the front. It is where our defenses have got their first expertise, and their expertise has been shared with the rest of the armed forces. And they began to launch these drones from Russia, from Belarusian territory in the northern part of the country. So day in, day out, we see that different capabilities have been deployed. We saw how those kamikaze drones have been shot down by our police with the help of the machine guns. But that's not the most reliable capability. Our sections of the defense must ensure that we are very effective in securing the defense of the country. Aviation, anti-aircraft, air defense system, the land forces, the self-propelled and the high-caliber machine guns, the different means of warfare. You see, the self-destroying drones must be defied, and we are still waiting for other means and capabilities of different class, not most sophisticated and up-to-date, but we are going to use them very efficiently against the explosive drones that the enemy is likely to be receiving from Iran. As for the Iran, recently there has been a lot of information in the media and outlets to the effect that Iran has agreed to supply to Russians the ballistic missiles. Do we understand now what challenges are facing us and whether we are ready to defy such a challenge? Unfortunately, we do have such information that Russia will be beefing up its ballistic rocket capabilities. Let me tell you the footnote that we believe the better way to confront them is to hit their launching pads, because ballistic missile swoops down from a very high altitude. Ukraine, to be honest with you, doesn't enjoy such capabilities to effectively rebuff such particular types of weaponry. Indeed, Iran is very likely to supply, unless some mechanisms have been found around the world to stop such supplies, to disrupt them. And it is only testifying to the fact that of the shortage of the ballistic missiles in Russia, and the only thing they have is the Iskander rockets. They have Iskander-M, which is a ballistic missiles placed in the Belarusian territory in Russia, and they are coming to us from the Belarusian territory from day one of this aggression. Ballistic weaponry is not something new to us. They have been very constant in bombarding us, but the only thing which is good about it, the shortage of it. Otherwise, Russia would not have asked Iran to supply them with what is rockets that are not that efficient. The range is about 700 kilometers. The Ukrainian armed forces are searching for the efficient methods to withstand and bring down such weapons. So what we have seen is the upgrade in the aviation activities of the Ukrainian aviation. Did you mean that? What did you mean? The Air Force seems to be more active now. Does it testify to the fact that our strategy in the sky has changed? Aviation is a very important component to support the land forces. It was that way and it is that way. The fact that the enemy aviation doesn't enter Ukrainian airspace for some time now, everyone understands now that there is an achievement, but there is another challenge that we have been facing. It's rocket attacks. Of course, we have been attacked by the reconnaissance drones, by the explosive drones, and their aviation is very active at the front line, where they are trying to rebuff the Ukrainian forces' forward movement in the Kherson region, for example. The Kherson direction is something that we keep track of. We want to figure out where they will be withdrawing, to which part of the country. The aviation is active, and our strategy is the only one: to support our land forces, to ensure that they are advancing with as few casualties as possible. As for the changes of the tactics, it happened a couple of months ago, after we had received American-made rockets, HARM, and the weaponry that we have adapted for them to be deployed from our Soviet-made aircraft, and they're attacking the positions of the enemy. We are using the radars and other forces. That's why we are impacting the defense of the enemy, and in literal terms, we are just killing them. and it allows our tactical aviation Su-24M, the attack and the firefighters, including the helicopters Mi, to impact powerful attacks against the enemy. It's done on a daily basis, about 10 to 15 attacks, including logistics, the armaments depots. It allows the Ukrainian land forces to be more versatile and to have more maneuver space to move forward, because aviation support, aerial support, is the key factor in securing the advantage on the land. Questions from the floor. Ukrinform, Irina Udodenko. 2 questions. 1, what do we know about the Iranian instructors that are working with the Russian forces in the Crimea and other Iranian instructors in Belarus? The Air Force, looks more both in our command posts and through the lenses of our air defense. We are looking at the radars. We are looking at through our radars and monitors, the aerial targets. Whether in Kherson or elsewhere, or in Belarus, the Iranian instructors are perhaps followed by our intelligence, by Western intelligence. Well, I personally think it is evident that instructors are there and perhaps are even taking part in the combat actions. This position by the Iranian country has resulted in the severance of diplomatic relations of this country with Iran. The way where we send with the F word the Russian military ship. This will go also will address the Iranian drones. Of course, the Russian operators are being trained by foreigners, and they were trained even before the Iranian drones arrived. But the more excessively we see the attacks from Russia or from Belarus, it looks that Russia will be forced to train their own specialists. And Iran, as always, their brothers in arms from Russian Federation will reiterate the same message that they're not there. Thank you. Do we know about the aircraft? What kind of aircraft and how many aircraft has been deployed in the Belarusian airfields? Let me tell you that MiG aircraft is stationed in Belarus. There is nothing new about it. Russia has about 800 units of that weaponry in the airfield very close to Ukrainian territory. 40 airfields that we know are actively engaged by the Russian aviation. The aircraft, it's about 400 of the aircraft and about 500 helicopters. This is the number that we have been aware of, apart from the fact that we destroyed a number of those. But they are now talking about engaging Su-24 bomber that we shot down 4 of them about a month and a half ago. The enemy is losing their aircraft, so they're using different types of aircraft. The aviation means can move very quickly, you will know. The same goes for the MiG-35 that can carry the Kinzhal, the sword rockets. This is a Iskander, but it is air to surface type. They launch it from the aircraft and it swoops down with a from a very high altitude. And unfortunately, we don't have such means to confront them. Then they can use it and deploy it from the Black Sea region, from Russia, from Belarus. So wherever the MiG-31 is stationed doesn't really matter. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity to talk to you. We have been talking to Yuriy Ihnat, the spokesperson for the Air Force of Ukraine. Next briefing will take place at 1300. We will talk here offline to Alexander Harchenko, the director of the Energy Industry Research Center. Will be talking about Ukraine reacts to the Russian attacks of the civil infrastructure. Don't go away.